The digital age, where a single click can spark movements that span continents. A petition quietly launched in February 2025 has become one of the most contentious political storms brewing between Canada and its southern neighbor. The petition, known formally as E5353, carries a simple yet explosive demand: revoke Elon Musk's Canadian citizenship. What began as an electronic signature campaign has now ballooned into a phenomenon that has gathered more than 280,000 signatures, representing a groundswell of Canadian sentiment that transcends typical political boundaries and speaks to deeper concerns about sovereignty, loyalty, and the meaning of citizenship in an interconnected world. The story of this petition begins, not in the corridors of Parliament Hill, but in the hearts and minds of ordinary Canadians, who watched with growing unease as one of their own. A man who holds dual citizenship through his Canadian-born mother, May Musk, appeared to align himself with forces that many perceived as hostile to Canadian interests. The petition specifically cites his role in the Trump administration and his attempts to attack Canada's sovereignty, language that reflects a profound sense of betrayal felt by many Canadians, who view Musk not merely as a tech billionaire, but as someone who should, by virtue of his citizenship, hold Canada's interests close to his heart. The mechanics of this petition reveal the sophisticated nature of modern democratic engagement. Launched through Canada's official parliamentary petition system, the campaign must navigate specific legal requirements that demonstrate its legitimacy. The petition remains open until June 20, 2025, after which the Clerk of Petitions will have to certify that at least 500 of its signatures are legitimate before it can proceed to the next stage of parliamentary consideration. This process, designed to ensure that only genuine expressions of public will reach the halls of power, has become a crucible in which the strength of Canadian sentiment regarding Musk's citizenship will be tested and measured. To understand the gravity of this situation, one must first comprehend what dual citizenship means in the Canadian context. Canada, unlike some nations, generally embraces the concept of multiple citizenship, viewing it as a reflection of the country's multicultural heritage and global connections. For decades, Canadians have taken pride in their citizens who have achieved success on the world stage, while maintaining their ties to the maple leaf. From actors to scientists, from business leaders to humanitarian workers, dual citizens have often served as unofficial ambassadors of Canadian values and achievements across the globe. However, the case of Elon Musk presents a unique challenge to this traditionally welcoming approach to dual citizenship. The petition reflects a growing concern among Canadians that Musk's proximity to Donald Trump's administration, particularly during a time when Trump has threatened Canada with tariffs and annexation, represents a fundamental conflict of interest that goes beyond the usual commercial or political disagreements between neighbors. The signatories appear to view Musk's actions not as the legitimate business decisions of a private entrepreneur, but as the potentially treasonous acts of a Canadian citizen who has chosen foreign interests over national loyalty. The emotional undercurrent of this petition cannot be understated. The effort appears to reflect anger over Musk's alliance with Trump. But this anger runs deeper than simple political disagreement. It touches on fundamental questions about what it means to be Canadian in an era where powerful individuals can wield influence that rivals that of nation-states themselves. For many Canadians, Musk's vast wealth and technological empire, combined with his apparent willingness to align with a president who has made explicit threats against Canadian sovereignty, represents an existential challenge to the very concept of national identity and belonging. The petition's language is particularly telling in its emphasis on sovereignty, a concept that has deep resonance in Canadian political culture. Canada's struggle to maintain its independence and distinct identity in the shadow of its powerful southern neighbor has been a defining feature of the nation's political development since Confederation. The concern that a Canadian citizen might be actively working to undermine this sovereignty strikes at the very heart of what many Canadians consider to be their most fundamental political achievement: the creation and preservation of an independent nation that stands as more than merely America's northern appendage. Gerard Aldridge of Alberta, the petition's initiator, represents the grassroots nature of this movement. His decision to launch this campaign reflects the power of individual citizens to challenge even the most powerful figures when they perceive threats to their national interests. Aldridge's initiative demonstrates how modern democratic tools can amplify the voices of ordinary citizens. transforming personal concern into a national conversation that demands attention from the highest levels of government. His petition has become a vehicle through which hundreds of thousands of Canadians have expressed their displeasure with what they see as Musk's betrayal of his Canadian heritage. The legal reality surrounding this petition adds another layer of complexity to the story. The effort is not expected to succeed, largely because Canadian law provides substantial protections for citizens against arbitrary revocation of citizenship. The Citizenship Act requires extremely compelling circumstances, typically involving fraud in the original citizenship application or acts of high treason, before citizenship can be stripped from an individual. Musk's business, relationships, and political associations, however controversial, likely do not meet the legal threshold required for such drastic action. Nevertheless, the symbolic power of this petition extends far beyond its legal prospects for success. It represents a form of democratic expression that serves multiple purposes simultaneously. It provides a mechanism for Canadians to register their disapproval of Musk's actions. It creates pressure for political leaders to address concerns about foreign influence and dual loyalty, and it generates public discourse about the rights and responsibilities that come with Canadian citizenship. In this sense, the petition succeeds, even if its literal demands cannot be met, because it forces a national conversation about issues that might otherwise remain unexamined. The international dimension of this controversy cannot be ignored. The petition has garnered attention from media outlets around the world, transforming what began as a domestic Canadian political issue into a global story about citizenship, loyalty, and the responsibilities of the ultra-wealthy in an interconnected world. This international attention serves to amplify the petition's impact, ensuring that its message reaches not only Canadian political leaders, but also Musk himself, and the broader international community that watches Canadian-American relations with keen interest. The timing of this petition is particularly significant, coming at a moment when Canadian-American relations face unprecedented challenges. Trump's explicit threats regarding tariffs and annexation have created a climate of tension that makes any perceived disloyalty by Canadian citizens particularly sensitive. The petition emerges from this context as both a response to immediate political threats and a broader statement about the values and expectations that Canadians hold for their fellow citizens, especially those with the power to influence international relations. The growing number of signatures, climbing from initial thousands to 280,000 signatures, tells a story of momentum and widespread concern that transcends typical partisan political divisions. This is not merely a left-wing or right-wing phenomenon, but rather a reflection of concerns that span the Canadian political spectrum. The petition has become a rare point of convergence for Canadians, who might disagree on many other political issues, but find common ground in their commitment to Canadian sovereignty, their expectation that Canadian citizens, regardless of their wealth or influence, should prioritize Canadian interests. The digital nature of this petition also reflects the changing landscape of political engagement in the 21st century. Traditional forms of political protest and petition required physical presence, paper signatures, and extensive organizational infrastructure. The electronic petition system allows for rapid mobilization of public opinion, enabling hundreds of thousands of Canadians to participate in this democratic process from the comfort of their homes. This technological evolution in political participation has made it possible for grassroots movements to achieve scale and influence that would have been impossible in earlier eras. As this petition continues to gather signatures until its June deadline, it serves as a fascinating case study in the intersection of citizenship, loyalty, wealth, and political power in the modern era. Whether or not Elon Musk ultimately faces any legal consequences from this campaign, the petition has already succeeded in forcing a national conversation about what Canadians expect from their fellow citizens and how they respond when those expectations appear to be violated. The story of Petition E5353 is ultimately a story about democracy itself, about the power of ordinary citizens to challenge even the most powerful individuals when fundamental principles appear to be at stake, and about the enduring importance of national identity in an increasingly globalized world. What makes this story particularly compelling is how it illustrates the evolving nature of citizenship in our interconnected world, where the actions of individuals can have consequences far beyond their home countries. The petition against Elon Musk represents more than just Canadian frustration with one prominent figure. It reflects broader questions about accountability, loyalty, and the responsibilities that come with holding citizenship in multiple nations. As we continue to navigate these complex waters of global politics and technological influence, stories like this remind us that democracy remains a participatory sport, where ordinary citizens still possess the power to hold even the most powerful accountable through the simple act of adding their names to a cause they believe in. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most intriguing political stories emerging from our neighbors to the north. If you found this analysis insightful and want to stay informed about the latest developments in North American politics, international relations, and the fascinating intersections of technology and governance, please hit that like button and subscribe to Wes's Best. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you thoughtful, comprehensive coverage of the stories that shape our world, from the corridors of power to the digital petitions that challenge them.